All right, ladies and gents, welcome to the last stream of the week here. And we've got a dire warning out from one of the UK's largest supermarkets. It is the Co-op. And when I read this story, it was no surprise to me what they have announced. Unbelievable as usual. But we've actually got some good news as well in today's video. Got a couple of good news stories, a couple of good points. People have asked me for some good news, so we're going to do that amongst all the negative news stories that are out. So let's go over and let's see what the Co-op have just announced. They have just unveiled a £40 million hit from this shoplifting surge. They said this is part of a wider epidemic of crime in the retail sector. £40 million here. And they've said what we've been talking about for a long time. It's because these criminals are getting more brazen in its stores. And this isn't just in the UK. This is all over the place. I told you when I went to San Francisco, I took that picture of that sign. Someone said, "Are you sure that wasn't a joke sign?" Honestly, to this day, I have no idea. But it was a sign that said shoplifting, should be, or theft or whatever it was, needs to be kept under $500 or something like that. Please tell me if that is a real sign, because to this day I still don't know if that was a real sign that I took a picture with. But this is the reality, though. Forgetting the sign, this is the reality, is that shoplifting in the US or theft in the US from stores is a misdemeanor. And it was really interesting because I was listening to some points on, because the US election's coming up, obviously. Talking about US, but we're going to focus on UK today. And they were saying that crime has never been lower. They had like historical charts. They said crime has never been lower in the US at the moment. This is the lowest ever on record. And I was thinking, how is that even possible? Obviously, they were trying to boost Kamala for this upcoming election. I thought, how is that even possible? And I was scratching my head for probably an hour after that. And then I went, hold on, wait. I think I know what they've done here. So I went to the stats, which you can find on the government website. And what they've done is they've taken away things like stealing $500 worth of items or $1,000 worth. They've taken that away from the crime statistics because they're not classing it as a crime anymore. They're classing it now as something else. It's it's not. They don't class it as a crime. So then I looked at those stats and they are through the roof. It's like hundreds of % up, but it's unbelievable. All these articles and stories. Wow, under Biden, no, this crime has never been lower. There's almost no crime. It's just vanished. Yeah, it's vanished in statistics. Getting back to this story then, because it's the same in the UK. We're seeing mass crime now, but yet they are trying to say that crime is very low. So what does the Co-op say? It's up 19% just in the first 6 months of this year. That's huge. Imagine if your wage went up 20% just in the first 6 months of the year. So it's up from 33 million up to 39.5 million. So we've got Matt, the managing director of Co-op Food, said this reflected an ongoing epidemic of crime in the retail sector, which has gained traction in recent years. Yeah, it's organized criminal gangs. I don't think we need to, get Scotland Yard on this. It's organized criminal gangs. Here's the stats on it. Figures from the ONS, Office for National Statistics, signaled earlier this year that shoplifting cases were at a record high, which has led to retailers criticizing police over an alleged failure to respond to in-store incidents. Now, we actually talked about this a while ago, and I did a massive piece on this, if you recall, and I went into granular detail on all the different crimes. And what really surprised me was the ones that police don't go out to. So it was things such as shoplifting, it was theft, and there was a kind of caveat to that where there were so many staff who work in these stores that were getting assaulted, some of them seriously injured, that eventually there was a kind of change in policy. If you're a police officer, you can drop in the comments up what that was and I'll highlight the comment. But there was a kind of change in policy that if a shop worker was assaulted, then it would be sort of upgraded and they'd send police out. But no, people can steal and the police wouldn't respond to a very high amount of those because they didn't have the resources to do it. I mean, it's just mind-boggling in today's age that this exists. So what did Matt say then? It's organized crime and seasoned shoplifters that are causing this issue. And also remember, people don't want to stop them because you can be arrested for assault if you grab them. Not that you'd want to. I mean, let's even mention that point. Would you, honestly, in today's age, would you actually stop someone? Because I know, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a shop worker there. I'm earning minimum wage. I'm being replaced by these self-service kiosks and swipes anyway. Would I honestly, some guy's coming out, he's just stolen loads of stuff. Am I going to stop that guy? Probably not. I'm just putting my mind, let's say I'm a middle-aged woman, I've got kids at home or something. Am I going to try and, no. Is it worth my minimum wage? What if he's got a blade or something like that? What if he hits me or something? This happens, right? It happens all the time with these shop workers. You look at the statistics on this, it's crazy. And that's why we'll come on to, they've just passed a new law. And I think it's 6 months in prison if a criminal or shoplifter assaults a shop worker, which is great. I think this is a really positive move in the right direction. I think it's positive that the police now, they're under so much pressure that they're going to start going out to them. Good. I mean, this is a step in the right direction, but it's one of the only steps in the right direction we're seeing at the moment. I was talking to some friends about the UK because they were asking, hey, what do you think about the UK? You know, is it a good place to live? And, you know, it's always been for a long time, they've always seen it on movies and TV shows, how amazing. And these quintessential little villages and everyone knows each other. It's like everyone, oh, hello, how are you today? Oh, I'm great. And like, is it really? I'm like, no, it's not like that at all. Even American clients, they say, oh, I'd love to go. I can't wait to experience all this culture and all that. And I'm like, no, that just doesn't exist. You know, the Downton Abbey TV show, that isn't the UK, that isn't England and Scotland and Wales and places like that. There's certain places where you've got these nice little villages, but the bulk of the UK is not like that. It's, to me, not a, I'm going to say it's not a nice place to live anymore in a lot of these big cities. It's really not. Gosh, we haven't even got through the first story. I've got 10 stories here today. So what have they done then? They've spent 18 million so far this year to improve CCTV and tighten security around checkout tills. But he said, it's really important for me to point out that the monetary cost is small compared to the physical and mental well-being of store colleagues who face this issue every single day. It shouldn't be part of their job. Yeah, I completely agree with him. Why should they have to put up with all of this crime? It should be the government and the police dealing with it. The comments come ahead of the introduction of a new legislation which will make it an offence. Why is it not an offence already to assault a shop worker? And it can carry a maximum sentence of 6 months in jail. Yeah, so don't post anything on Facebook because they're going to need more prison spaces soon. Police are also under pressure to act with a new crime bill requiring them to investigate even if the stolen goods are worth under £200. This is obviously a big story, a lot of comments on this. This is another one that's come out. Miliband is going to send armed police to guard gas terminals amid net zero protests. We've got a lot to talk on electricity as well here. So these officers now are going to be guarding all of the energy plants. No, it's nothing to do with Iran, which you might think. Nothing to do with North Korea or hackers. No, this is Just Stop Oil and Greenpeace, who have made threats that they're going to be targeting fossil fuel plants. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up, these climate protests and things. I was reading, I haven't done this for a long time, but I was reading some of the stuff on the website and some of the, what would you call it, doctrine. Some of the things are, you've got to read this stuff. It is intense. If you didn't know this was climate based, you would say some of the right. Just forget the climate stuff and just if you read that and someone said this is the Taliban, what if you'd read it and go, wow, that is pretty extreme. No, this is sort of well-educated people from good families in the UK who are doing a lot of this stuff now. Should read some of the stuff. It's pretty extreme. So they're going to be targeting fossil fuel plants. Apparently, there's all these different plants because they want to get rid of it completely. Good luck with that, because already we're seeing the. I'll show you this one in a second. Let's flip these two around. Britain's now paying the highest electricity prices in the world, and the industrial base is just being destroyed. They are closing as much as they possibly can to reach the net zero targets. And as a result, I mean, this is, honestly, you could teach this to a teenager, someone who's just started their secondary school education, and they would get the economics of this. You've got all these power plants. Electricity is low. Well, now you close all these power plants. What happens to electricity supply and demand? You ask all those kids in that classroom and they'll say, oh, sir, miss, whatever. They'll say, the prices will rise because you've gotten rid of the supply. Correct, that's the right answer. But all these people, they're surprised. Can you believe this? They're actually surprised that the prices have gone up so much. And they're going to go up more because they're going to level or levy all the green taxes and the carbon taxes. And now they're doing all this other stuff, and they're getting rid of the redundancy packages for all these workers at these plants. Where are these workers going to go? Because it's not as if you spent your whole life in an industry. How do you, I guess you could transition to a green industry, but it's going to be difficult if your expertise is in blast furnaces and all this other stuff. And how are you just going to transition to the, I don't know. It's not my field, so I can't really understand how they're going to do it. But it's unbelievable. The prices have jumped 124% in just the last 5 years. I bet you if you broke that down more, most of that would be in the last 2 years. Electricity is now 50% more expensive than in Germany and France, and 4 times as expensive in the US. Some of my US subscribers say, we've got expensive electricity now under the Biden admin. Well, we've got it 4 times as much. And actually, I pulled up where I live. You ready? It's actually even more. I pay 28.5p per kilowatt hour, which is even higher than the UK. I think the UK, yeah, here it is. It's 25.8. So I pay 28.5. So I pay even higher. So they say the UK is the highest in the world. Well, actually, it's probably my country, island, the Isle of Man, which is the highest. So yeah, the costs are just skyrocketing, and they've got no plan. You listen to these conferences, they've got absolutely no plan for how they're going to reduce these costs. You know, how are you going to bring the cost down in the future? Well, they say the same thing all the time. Well, we think that by fighting this, it's going to be cheaper than continuing on this path. Like, okay, can you break that down, from an economic perspective? Well, and they can't answer because they are not looking at. Actually, one of my friends was saying there was a consultation on net zero in 2030, and he was part of this consultation team because he works as a consultant, and he said the government people he was talking to, because trying to figure out the plan, he said they had absolutely, look, I'm telling you the truth here, ladies and gents, he said they had absolutely no idea about any of this stuff. They said, we just need to hit this 2030 target. How you do it is irrelevant. We just need to hit this target. And he's like, well, we can close this, we can do that. Okay, well, if that's what it takes. And he's like, these people are nuts. They are not even thinking through logically how all of this works. So let's jump on. We've just had Gary Smith, the union boss, come out saying that this net zero plan is decimating our industrial base. Obviously, he represents workers, and he's saying that this is sparking a catastrophe because what they're doing is they're relying on China to create all of this infrastructure. And he's saying that this is just, look, decimation of manufacturing, steel making, huge social and economic scars right across the country. The crackdown on North Sea oil as well. This is just, you remember Port Talbot as well, massive job losses there. They're getting rid of the blast furnaces. This is their plan. I always laugh at dotted lines because it's like, okay, that's your dotted lines. Is there an actual plan behind that? Well, kind of, yeah. And they're going to get here by 2050, apparently. He said, so I doubt many people in other advanced economies think that approach to decarbonization has been a sensible one. It's hollowed out our communities, it's decimated our industrial base, and left industrial, social and economic scars. Prices are only going to go up, unfortunately, ladies and gents. They're not going any other way. Right, there's one quick thing I wanted to share with you as well. Where is it? Here it is, here it is. Actually, the economy first. Let's just mention this. So everyone's praising this. Oh, wow, the UK is going to be the highest growing economy in the OECD. Yeah, it's 1%. 1%. They're celebrating. Look at this. You'd think, wow, look at this big bar here. No, it's 1%. But you see that a lot of the G7 are just collapsing. There's no growth. There's no plans to get growth. You're not seeing this growth that everyone's talking about. But do you remember this from 2015? This was 9 years ago. Do you remember this little video where you could get Prime Air delivered in 30 minutes? So they pick it all up. Here it is. Here's your package. And the drone takes it away. Can you believe this was almost a decade ago now? And then it flies in. It drops the parcel. And then the father and son so excitedly go out and they get their parcel from their Amazon Prime Air. It's funny to think that was almost a decade ago. Well, finally, we've just had the announcement, Britain's skies to be blanketed by drones within 3 years. By 2027, large-scale deployment of these unmanned aircraft to be rolled out for deliveries. Let me just say, I really hope I do not live under one of these paths. Can you imagine the noise? It would sound like a swarm of hornets over your roof day and night. You just wouldn't be able to escape from it. But yeah, the plans look very loose at the moment as to how they're going to do it. They haven't gone into great detail. They still need to figure out the avoidance technology. But the thing that made me laugh about it was they said that they need to have lots of these skilled drone operators. And I'm going, okay, please, seriously, tell me this isn't a joke. Someone's going to be sat there at Amazon. Oh, I'm coughing, I'm laughing. With his remote or her remote control, going like this, right, let me fly this. No, that's ridiculous. They need AI, and they need, the AI can fly these drones and do it all, and they can have however they're going to connect with their antennas and receivers and all the way along. That's what they need to do. I just can't imagine. Why do they need to recruit thousands of drone operators? It's, oh gosh. All right. Last stream of the week. Thanks so much for being online. Told you we had a bit of a more positive. Is that positive? I tried to put some positive news in for people who keep asking for a little bit of happy news. But that's it for this week. Thanks so much for being online. I'll see you again on Monday. Take care. God bless you and your families. Have a wonderful weekend.